Welcome, I hope you're doing all right today. We're going to get started here in just a moment, but let a couple people come in still here. But here's what we're going to be building out this, well, you can kind of see a splash screen here of it, but we're going to be trying to build out this landing page. All right. There you go, Branson, I like that. Okay, well, I think we'll get started. I see a couple people coming in here now. So let's go ahead and get everything set up on my end and transition over. There I am. For some reason, my face is extremely white right now. All right, there we go. Some auto balance. Well, we're going to build this landing page out. And a lot of times what I do when I'm trying to just practice stuff, or, I kind of just like to rep stuff over and over again, is I'll go into the Figma community. And there's a lot of free stuff that you can look at. And so I'll just find something like this and then I'll build it out. So that's what I figured we'd do today. I definitely have a time limit today and I am probably not going to get anywhere near done on this. But so I'm going to do two things. I'm going to do two things. Whether or not we do them, I don't know. The first thing is I'm going to try to move a little bit faster than I normally do on streams. And the second thing is I'm going to use Tailwind. So we'll just style it as we go. But the focus today I want to focus in on is kind of getting data into a site. And we're going to use a bunch of different methods in Astro because there's a bunch of different ways to work with data in Astro. If you're interested more in Astro, I know a couple people have mentioned it, but I do have a course that's out right now in early access. It's maybe a third done, if that. Probably more like a quarter done of what it will finally be in its full version. So you can join now for like a reduced price and kind of help me build it out and give me feedback along the way. Or if you want to wait, that's fine too. But like I said, this will be the cheapest I offer it right now. So if you're interested in that, I'm so bad at plugging my own stuff, but it's at learnastro.dev. You can sign up for it here. Right now it's $50 and you're welcome to check that out. If you have questions, let me know. But that's what we're going to be doing is building this out right here. And I figured let's just go ahead and get something up and running. And like I said, we're going to try to move a little bit faster than I normally do on stream. But the Astro hat, yeah. Got to wear the Astro hat, I actually have my own coding in public. Or let's see, can I move? Hoodie on too. So, got to stay cozy when you're coding, enjoy yourself. All right, so let's go ahead and jump over this way. And I'm just going to say PMPM create. Let's see, Astro at latest. And we'll call this Figma community. I do have the actual link to this in the description. And so that way, if you want to check it out yourself, you can do that. Hey, what's up? Well, glad to have you join again. All right, let's start with an empty project. Yeah, Astro hat, that's what's up. And let's not install the dependencies yet. Strict. Sure, that's fine. All right, and the reason is I'm going to install a couple other things, so I figured we might as well kind of do that all at the same time. So let's do PMPX, Astro add, and I'm going to add Tailwind. I might add React just so I can show how to work with data. And again, my focus here is on the data as well. Welcome, Elton. Hi from Argentina, or hola. I've been working on Spanish, so there you go. So by doing this, what we're going to do is allow Astro to basically add both Tailwind and React to our project so we can use them. And it does all the setup for us, and it's really nice to work with. So that's what we're going with. But now we have to wait for this to install. So if you have any questions, let me know. If you want to talk about anything, let me know. Once this installs, we're going to move, maybe. I promised to move quickly on streams before, and it never really happens, so don't get your hopes up, I guess. Just waiting. Now, we probably are going to use Astro image, so I probably should also install Sharp, because I think if PNPM you still have to install that separately. So I should have probably done that as well. I know 24 of us are just watching dependencies install. This is how you want to use your Friday? Do I make Astro templates? I do not. I'd love to, but there's so many details you have to get right, and then I would want to keep it super up to date, that basically I would do that or do my channel. And so there are a lot of really smart people who are doing, oh, it can't install this yet, I forgot. Now we can add these. It needs Astro already installed in order to do that. So now with Astro installed, it will be able to find that config. I should have remembered that. But yeah, there's a lot of really smart people out there making really great Astro templates. So yeah. You broke Houston. Oh no. It's not your fault. I think it's so you have to install Astro first, and then it can basically do like the adding, because it actually uses some stuff in the Astro package. At least I think so, because that's what happened to me the other day. Do I use Yarn? Not honestly, not really. I use PNPM mostly just because I think it's a lot faster. It's still not done. All right. Let me just get this thing. Let me make sure it's actually installed, and then we'll retry this again. Another from Argentina. Nice. Welcome. Yeah, I'm slowly learning Spanish, so I'm not going to attempt anything right now. There we go. Okay, so now it's installed. We're going to try this again. It's going to be awesome this time. Third time. And then you'll see the beauty of the Astro CLI if you haven't seen it before. Unicorn character that is not as wide as our normal characters. Oh. Well, I'm glad to produce this bug report for you. Okay, so see, this is what I was saying, how easy it is. Then you hit yes. I should have just installed the dependencies like it prompted me to in the first place. And then it will generate a config file. It'll update everything. I mean, look at that. I don't have to do anything. And I'm ready. Okay, I do also need, I think I still need Sharp. The way this is set up, and I probably should have also added Astro icon, because we'll probably use that as well. So Sharp is an image service that's used when we use the assets, which we're going to be using, and with PNPM you have to install it separately, at least you used to. Astro or Next, I mean, I'm not going to say Next over Astro. I think there are use cases for Next, but to me, the new default is Astro. It just doesn't make sense to like, Next is like, let me add everything just in case I might possibly need it. And Astro's like, let me add what I need when I need it. And for me, that's what I would much prefer. Hey, thanks, Diego. I mean, I think it's the framework of 2024. I think it's going to be a big year for Astro, but, you know, what do I know? So we'll see. I mean, it's such a small little corner of development, too, that, you know, it doesn't need to take over the entire world for it to be a big year for Astro. But okay, let me get this thing up and running, and I'll be back with you. Let me switch this over just because I don't know exactly how this is going to open stuff up, and that way we're all set and ready to go together. Yes, I trust these authors. I is the author. Okay. Let me get this here. Okay, I think we are ready. Dante, welcome. Wow. Alien, thanks for the the massive teaser there. So much in the pipeline for 2024. Those of you who don't know, I think Alien, you're on the core team, right? But yeah, Astro moves at such a crazy pace too. Like honestly, that's the reason I wanted to do a course, is because I want to be able to keep it up to date and like add new stuff. And with YouTube, you can't ever update anything. That was my initial motivation, was just like, I want something that I can point to that's like generally keeping up to date and can add the new things as they come. So that would be my plan. But yeah, I think you do just PNPM, Dante, just with PNPM, you need Sharp installed as well. Hey, nice. Convincing clients to let you use Astro. I love that. Yep, seeing hundreds in page speed. I mean, seriously. Hey, thanks so much for the congrats on the course. Yeah, that's been such a better response than I ever dreamt. Like, I don't know what I expected, but yeah. Hola. Welcome. Okay, I promise to move quickly. What? I'll just flip back and forth then, that's fine. All right, so let's go ahead and get this thing up and running. I'm just gonna use the local server right here. And let's see, it's gonna be a lot faster if I can log into Figma. Let me do that, sorry. And then we'll move fast. See, I warned you ahead of time. It's gonna open my browser and ask me to log in and all this kind of stuff. I don't wanna have to worry about making sure I'm not showing stuff. So, let's see, here we are. I told you I don't always move fast when I say I will, but I'm sure I will at some point here. Once we actually get moving. And like I said, I want to focus mostly on data in Astro. So that's my intention here. Okay. All right, here we are. This isn't really showing yet, but I'm sure it will show at some point here. So, unless, aha, here it is. Okay. That way we can just download assets directly inside here and stuff. So we'll get to that. All right, so like I said, I want to focus on working with data in Astro today. So let's go ahead and get this thing up and running with pnpm run dev. Now we're officially going to get started and hopefully move a little faster. Migrating a Next.js site to Astro. Want to surprise this client. Nice. Yeah, I think a lot of it too is like, because you can just import React components directly, you can even use, you know, it obviously depends how you set up your project, but to me it's a nice way to quickly convert to something because you're not having to like rewrite everything from scratch. You can just use TSX components or whatever JSX components and render just the plain HTML if you want to. It doesn't make any sense to use Next for normal landing pages. Yeah, totally. Yeah, complex web applications, Next is great at. It's not like Next is a bad tool. Just use the right tool for the job. And to me, most of the stuff I'm personally doing is static, and I'll have like little kind of sprinkles of interactivity. But if you're building full apps, you know, you can do full stack apps in Astro, but it just takes a little bit more know-how and work because it's not really set up for that as the starting point. But I think that's what makes it so good. Okay, so here we go. We've got this up and running over this way. The way Astro works, if you're not familiar with it, all the routing is done here in this pages directory. The first thing I'm going to do is come over here and we'll do a layouts folder. And that way we can have kind of a wrapper. I'll do base layout.astro. That's what I typically do. I drop all this stuff in here. And then right here, we'll just have a slot like this where we'll drop all the rest of the content. And then all I have to do is come inside here and do base layout. Let's see, is this thing not going to work for me? Just waiting on VS Code. Solid 30% of my life. There we go. Okay. And then anything I put inside here, like if I have an H1, this is like hi, then we can get this in here, and now it will say hi over here. And any other route I can basically wrap in the same thing. I don't know that we're going to have other routes in this case, but we'll call this the Travello travel site or something. All right, other things I might want to do, since we're using Tailwind, let's go ahead and just do like, I don't know, let's do a max width of 2000 pixels, and then put everything in the middle. You can do whatever you want there, but I think that's what I'll do, just to kind of do some basic stuff. I think we've got some full bleed on all this, but what I probably want to do, let me come over here. Container. Wow. Container. There we go. Let's do padding like 2 pixels. Sorry, 2 rem. This, and then let's do center of true. This is how I typically set stuff up like this. I'm not going to go like super all out in CSS, I think, today, because again, I got to be a little bit more careful on my time. Let me make sure I can actually see my time. My mic has a problem. Anybody else having problems with my mic? Oh, so you're having problems too with the Astro files not loading automatically. I figured it was an extension from me, but I don't know. I can't seem to figure it out. It doesn't always happen. It just happens like maybe a third of the time. So I don't know. Okay, so back over this way. Let's go ahead and get some of this stuff copied out. So I've got this sequential pasteboard I used from an app called Pastebot. So let's grab these kind of one after the other, and then we can add them later. And this will be our first chance at looking at how to actually set up stuff in Astro. There's some static feedback on my mic. Oh man. I do have a small heater on because it's kind of cold here, so let me turn that off in case that's what's causing it. But sorry for the trouble. All right, let me know if that improves the mic situation at all. So, all right. So let's go and work on this Navbar. And because this will be the same on every site or every page, we should probably add it right here, right? So let me come inside here. We'll do components. Now it's good. Okay, so that was it. All right. I'm just trying to stay warm over here. So let's do navbar.astro. All right, so we can do this in a couple different ways, but the first way I want to work with data in Astro is let's just have an actual data folder. So I'll have data, and then I'll just call this like nav items.ts. And what we'll do is just have, it's fixed now. Okay, that was it. Wow. Okay, well, if I just die of cold, now we'll know. We also know who to blame. Who was it that asked me to turn that off? Datasaurus. It's you. You're the one. All right, so let's come in here and we'll have like nav, const nav items equals, and then let's make this an array of objects. And what we're going to do is just add each of these as an item here. Let's see. There. Jackets are thinking, hey man, I got a hoodie on and like full sweatpants. I'm just saying it's a little cold. Just try not to turn the whole heat on in my house. Hey, you're welcome for all the videos. I'm really fine. I'm just teasing. All right. So let's say the text will be destinations. So for all these, we're going to have like different properties, right? So destinations as well, which again won't point anywhere. So actually, let's just do this for all this. Anything else I need to have? I guess we could have different types of buttons too. So like we've got the outline button or like the ghost style button. So we'll say like style or something like that. And we'll call this ghost. And then let's copy this down a few times. So here. Now one of these, I don't remember which one, sign up, had, we'll call this like outline. And we can use this when we actually like style the button to style it in some capacity if we want to. And then this is like a drop down as well. So I don't know. Right now we're just going to leave it alone. Yeah, just to see how Booleans work too. Let's do true. All right, so now that we've got this right here, I'm going to go and export this as the default nav items. And the cool thing in Astro is when you grab this, when you like use it in a file, you'll actually be able to get all the type safety and stuff you'd expect. Let's do nav. There we go again. Reload the window. I don't know. It is kind of annoying when it happens. Typo on destinations. Oh, that's what you get for trusting designers to type stuff correctly. Says the guy who can't spell anything. Navbar. Come on. Man, I don't know what's going on. We'll import Navbar. That's a default. Import Navbar from. I guess I don't have. Yeah, at least it's set up here. Okay, so I can pull this in over here. And if I have a nav and say like hi, should pull that in. Okay. So now what I want to do is work with data for the first time here, where we're going to import our nav items. And there I get some autocomplete from our data nav items. Now, if I come over here, you're going to see that I actually get this whole thing typed, right? So some of these are undefined. Obviously, some of these, like this drop down true, Boolean over there works. So now what I can do is come inside here, and we've got a couple things. If I open back up my Figma file, wherever that's at, I've also got this icon here. So we've got this icon and then this whole section over this way. So we'll kind of have two sections to the nav. So probably what I'll do is have like a container section in here because I've got that kind of scope to the center. And then we'll have two sections. We'll have the icon over here, which I would think might be like a link. So I'll probably ARIA label this and say something like go home. And then inside here is where we'll have the image. So let's just do like image here, which we'll do in a second. Then everything else will be in a UL probably. And so what I can do now is just loop over each of those nav items. And automatically I get access to all these, right? So map, like the video, it's 30 viewers, but only 2 likes. I think I've asked people to like videos like 3 times on my channel total. So thanks for advocating for me. So these are all going to be links and they're all going to point to, and look at this IntelliSense I get, right? A dot, and then I can just drop stuff in, right? So super easy to work with. And this probably also needs to be inside of a link, or not a link, a list item like that. All right, there we go. So you can see that comes in, and then for the href, I can just point to a.href. And what else did I have? Like a style. So here, like there's a couple things we can do, but we'll eventually set this up as a component probably. But you can see how now we're just getting all this stuff coming in directly. And this is happening because we're looping over this data we're pulling in. So that's the kind of the first way I want to talk about working with data. For me, this makes sense for things like nav items or like just like raw data like this that you don't need like tons of type safety on. You're going to use in one place. You're not, you know, for me, content collections is more for advanced stuff. So hey, Milton, thanks. All right. So let's see. There's a couple things I want to do, but let's go ahead and pull in this image first. So let's see what kind of situation we got going on here. Can I pull in this whole thing? Okay, we can pull this on. SVG for sure. Let's put it inside SRC assets. And we're going to call this logo mark.svg. All right, so it should have created this here. And you know what? I actually want this inside of an icons folder since it's an SVG, and we'll drop it in here. Now by putting it inside the icons folder, I can pull this in with the icon that I get from Astro icon. I'll just name this logo mark like that. And then width, let's set it to like, I don't know, 125 or something. That won't be right, but we'll need to pull this in as well. And for some reason, import here isn't working. So we'll say import icon from Astro icon. And again, I'm not really going to try to explain every single thing I'm doing here because I'm trying to move a little bit faster, even though so far I've been not great at this. Astro icon, I think. What? What's that thing called? Astro icon. Icon from Astro icon. Whoa. You can now add it directly, and I didn't know that, so that must be a new thing. Cool. I didn't know that. Learn something new every day. Okay, so let's go do that then. PMPX Astro, or add Astro icon. Although I already installed it, so I'm not sure how this is going to work, but I didn't know it was an official integration. Cool. It has some changes. I like it though that it's moving more official because I think it's such a great little tool to work with. But now we're waiting again on things to install. Astro icon is not an official Astro package. Well, it's made by Nate Moore, so sure. Okay, PMPM run dev. And let's pull this in here. Can I not do width? This probably needs to be number, maybe. Is that the problem? Yeah. Where are we at? Over here. There we go. So you see it's pulling in there. Let's do like 200. So the benefit of this is not adjusting its height automatically. What else do we got going on over here? That's all we got. Okay, that's fine. The benefit of working with Astro Icon is what it's going to do is basically minify your SVGs and drop them directly into the source of your, your actual HTML. So you're not doing a separate fetch for these things. And again, like I said, it's minified. You can do a lot of other cool things as well. Height is 1M. It's interesting that it's like setting a height for this. What happens if I just don't do anything? Okay. Astro Icon is broken for you. Astro CLI doesn't work. Well, seeing as I just figured out that it was different, I'm not sure I can super help you, so sorry. All right, so inside here, we've got the logo mark. Maybe let's set a height here of like 35 or something. See if we can get this bigger. It's not actually, man, that's weird. Oh, it's probably just the way it's grouped. That's fine. Well, let's just do something hacky then. Let's do like a scale 115, 110. Isn't there like a... We'll just make it bigger like that. Ah, that's stupid. Let's not worry about it. It's fine how it is. Okay. So let's set this thing out. And I think what I'll do is grab all this and do flex. And then we'll do justify between. And then let's also do the same thing here. Class, flex, gap 2, something like that. And let's do items center. I think that's right. So the reason this thing is giving me problems, I think, is the way I exported it from Figma, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. Other things I want to do, let's do like a padding Y2, because we've already got this inside of a container. Maybe 4 or something like that. What else do we want to do? Let's work, I guess, on this kind of whole button situation now. So right now I'm just passing each of these into a link. I guess I also want to do a little bit here, and then we'll work on that. So we'll say on focus, we want outline to be transparent. Focus visible, we want a ring of 4. And sure. Eventually I'm going to want this. Yeah. Did I do that right? Oh, there is no ring 6. There we go. Okay. More or less. All right. That works. Eventually what we're going to want to do is create our own little component here. So let's go ahead and do that now. So I'm going to call this link.astro, and then we'll basically extract all this. And we can do a couple things here to make this a little bit easier to work with, but let's pull in the HTML attributes. Man, why am I not getting any autocomplete? Viewbox property. Yeah, you're probably right. Hey, Christina, welcome. Okay, let's come back up here. HTML attributes, HTML something. Man, nothing, no help at all. Astro, TypeScript, script. All right. Honestly, I'd want to set this whole thing up with like CVA or something, but I'm already moving so much slower than I thought I would, so. Type props. Actually, let's do. We're going to extend the HTML attributes of a link tag. And here we're going to have, what else did I want? The text, which would be a string, style. What else do I have? Style. And what was the last one? Drop down, true. Okay. Style is either ghost or what was the other one I had? Outline, I think. And then I already forgot the drop down is a Boolean. Okay, so now what we're going to do is grab all these from our props. So we'll have text. I guess I also had an href, right? But that should pull in automatically. Yeah. So we'll take the text, the style, the dropdown, and the href. And we'll pull these all from astro.props. Let's see. Each time you create a new Astro file, you reset the VS Code. That's the only way to fix it so far. Man. 2 issues to VS Code autocomplete. Yeah, I've never had problems until like the last 3 or 4 weeks. How can you get this cool Astro hat? I think it's in the store. All right, so we've got all this stuff coming in. Now what I could do is pull in the text right here. Here I would pull in the href that I'm passing in. And then because we know what type this is, I can actually pull in anything else I might add to this. So I'll just do rest like this, and then pull this in here, rest. All right, now let's actually use this over this way. So I'm going to take this and substitute it for my link, which now it's working, which is great. I'm not sure why, but let's close this off like this. All right, and we'll say text equals this. Href equals that. What else do I need to pass in here? It's asking for a style, right? So here we'll say a.style and pass that in as well. And then string is not to ghost or outline. Oh, I think it's just typed it wrong coming from here. Ghost outline, right? All these are the same. Oh, that's weird that it's not picking up on that. Well, that's fine. I guess we'll just change this to string and not worry about it. Okay, so I think we got everything coming in here. Let's see. Dropdown is missing. So this would be a.dropdown. All right, so now by having this kind of separate component here, I guess we can also make this. We should have made it undefined, then we wouldn't have had to pass it in. But all right, so now we've got this all coming in and this is working. So if I add something here like just some gibberish, you can see all of them are using this component. Now by this rest property, what I can do is come in here, and if I want to, I can spread in anything else I might use in a link. So for instance, I could say an ID equals like hi or hi-yo or whatever that is. And I can come over here and you can see how they all have that same ID. So I can spread in anything, and because I've typed it, it knows what it can have. So like if I try to do like checked or something, it's not going to let me do checked because that doesn't exist on the type of the anchor link. Let's see, anybody else anything? I don't think so. Okay. All right, so we're good there. The other thing I wanted to do is this styling stuff. So I don't know, I probably shouldn't be doing this, but at this point I'm already moving slow, so whatever. Let me just steal this here. So let's install PMPM. Let's install this class variance authority. I think this is especially super helpful. I've already added this to my settings, but I think it's especially super helpful when you're using Tailwind because it gives you really defined options, and I just really like working with it. A drop down. Oh, I didn't even think about that. That is kind of funny. So what it allows you to do here is set up different variants. So you can pass all this stuff in, and then when you're actually invoking the button, you get super defined styles of like exactly how each thing is going to look. So let me go ahead, I guess, and pull this up, and we'll just steal this from Astro, like the Astro example here, if it will get started. But that way we can have super defined styles that we can then tweak and work with. This is how things like ShadCN UI works. They use this as well. So anyhow, let's close this thing down over here. And while we're at it, let's look at the SVG. And look at this view box. It does have this, but I think it's this weird group thing that's going on. What happens if I just get rid of that? And then let's come back over here and try to set this width to like 400 or something. No. Let's leave it there though and see what else we could do. So if I get rid of this altogether, no. It's probably the way that this grouping is set up, But honestly, at this point, I'm not super concerned. We're not like trying to make this pixel perfect. I'm just trying to use this to talk about passing data, working with data in Astro. We're not going to get the whole site done, and that wasn't really my intention today. It doesn't even have a mobile version anyhow, so. All right, back over this way. Has this thing finished? It has. Okay, cool. So let me, editor, steal this. So you can see how it's actually using that same HTML type attributes. We're going to pull this in here though. And I'm just going to grab all this. And let's come back over here. And we'll add it in here and have to obviously move stuff around. But while we're working with data, we might as well figure out how to like work with classes the way I would typically do it if I were setting up a full project. So here what we're going to do is move all this stuff up top, right here. Let's see, do it below the props. So what this is doing is it's basically saying, hey, we're going to add this class to everything. So button will be added to everything. In this case, this isn't super helpful because button doesn't do anything in Tailwind. But then here's what I want on my primary type. Here's what I want on my secondary type. I can have different sizes as well, different, you know, I've got small and medium, and then I can combine stuff. So say like if it's primary and the size is medium, also add this class. So just really nice way of working with stuff and kind of setting it out in React or Astro or any other kind of files. I just think it's perfect for working with any kind of strings, basically. So let's see. What we're going to do is take this and export props here, and then add inside of here this stuff, I think. I think I did that right. Definitely not. Oh, it's looking for this, I think. So this is going to be a link, and then we're going to do a link here, and we'll call this link as well. I think I did all that right. Now this has obviously got problems, but that's what you expect. All that is fine. Okay, so now I'm just going to grab this, and we're going to add this here as well. All right, I think that's good, and then we're going to call this link. The intent and size. So I could set defaults for these, which they haven't done in this example. But if I come in here and, is it right here? Defaults? Maybe it's outside here. Defaults. Default variants. You can set defaults here, and I think this has to be, is it an object? So what we're going to do is set the intent. We'll set this to be primary. And then we'll set the size to be medium. And now I've got defaults for all these that are being passed in here. Intent is not defined. Let me come back over here and just check this out. Since we're already moving slow, let's just enjoy ourselves at this point. Okay, so I need to pull these in as well then, which I will pull in right here. Okay, so I think we're good here now. There we go. Exactly what we want it to look like. But now we can style these things as we'd like. And in this case, I want this to be, see, we can leave this at primary, but then we're going to create a ghost option, and we're going to have options inside here. And then we're going to have a, what's the other thing? Outline, right? We'll have options in here as well. And these sizes work just fine as well. So what we could do is set this up as like a default to start with. So here are our default classes. And the way this works is you could do like focus of outline none. You could also do focus visible, or you have a ring, a 4, ring offset 2. So now all these have this default styling, right? But then they have different things depending on if they're primary or secondary or whatever. Let's see, what else we got? All right, so this is how I'd set up like a more robust component, and everything is typed properly. You've got all these options. And now on the front end, if I come back over this way, probably what I'm going to do is just set the intent here, intent to the style. And let's see, let's come back over here and kind of remove this. Where's my typing up here? So that way we don't need to have a style. Okay. think that's right. String's not assignable to primary or ghost. Deal with it, all right? It's can I do it like this? Primary or ghost? Just tell it that's what it is? Yeah, okay. All right, so now what I'm doing is basically passing in all this stuff. I got all the type safety on the front end. Let's actually style this thing out the way we want then. So since these are mostly all ghost buttons, what I want is that if I probably, how do I want to set this up? Yeah, so let's have like a hover state, and I probably need to pull in some colors at some point from this file since we haven't done that at all yet. You were warned that I never move quickly, even if I say, well, let's pick this here. Steal this color. Let me come over to my Tailwind config file. And let's add some colors. Colors? Yeah. And let's just do like a, I don't know, let's do like, what do we call this? Travello. Let's just call it T accent. How about that? T accent. CVA is very useful. You don't have the patience to set it up. Yeah, I mean, honestly, what I do is I set these components up once on a project that I actually like, and then I just copy and paste it over. Like, I'm not setting this up every time from scratch. T accent. But once you use it, it's really hard to not use it. But like for things like buttons or links or like a lot of the kind of core UI components, if you just abstract all those out into their own little components, it makes a lot of sense. But not for everyone. That's fine too. All right. What am I doing wrong here? Am I forgetting how to set up Tailwind colors? Where are we at? Oh, it's an object. Okay, I think that's good. So what I can do is use this T accent, which I guess is what we're going to call everything now. Let's just do it like that. As our, where's my link? As our background here. So now if I come over here and I hover, I should get that color. Cool. Let's also, what else do we want to do for this ghost option? I guess if I focus on it too, I probably want the same thing. So focus, background, T accent as well. So that should work there as well. I don't know, I'm fine with that. Obviously you can do more stuff than just what we're doing here, but let's do an outline 2 on the one that needs it, which is the login, I think. Border 2, I mean. There we go. Border, let's go ahead and pull in some more colors, I guess, while we're at it. So we've got this color. Let's see, we've got this color. Just so we've got some more options. Is this the same? Nope, not the same. This is something. Okay. Already got that one. Not really. They've got 2 that are almost identical. Okay, that one's the same, so we'll call that good there. Well, I guess let's set these up in our Tailwind first. It's not that you don't move quickly, it's just that you got tangents. Yeah, I know. It's like rabbit. CVA from Shazzy. I want to create variants for UI elements. I just create an object and define the variants there. Yeah, it's fine. Like, I think that works for a lot of things. I think for me, just after you use something like CVA, that's more of a robust library. Man, what's up with this auto balance of the color? Once you use something like CVA, it's hard to go back to just like objects. But so for simple projects, honestly though, like, yeah, why overcomplicate it? So for instance, if you were to like do a landing page quickly on a live stream, maybe don't do it then. Just like a small heads up. All right, so what we're going to do is add this. We're going to call this T like text or something like that. I don't know what each of these things are going to be, so let's just... All right, so we'll call this T. Maybe this should be like... This should be the accent, and this could be like muted or something like that. I'm not sure why I'm calling these all T, whatever. Let's do this. And what else do we have? Sure. All right. All right. Look, we're just going to call this yellow, and we're going to call this red, and we're going to call this accent for no particular reason. And then we'll call this muted, and we're going to call that a day. Feel good about that? There we go. Okay. So let's come back over here, get rid of that. Where's my link? All right. So here what we're going to do is an outline of T text for some reason. There we go. And then here, let's take these, and these will both be T. We did decide to call those accent, I think, right? Yeah. Okay. Although now I kind of want to make them something else, but I think we're going to leave it alone. The other thing is we've got the potential of that little drop-down menu right here. So honestly, what I'd probably do if I were, since we're already building this component out a little bit more robustly, is I probably would not pass in the text, because what I want to do is have a lot of flexibility. So let's get rid of that, and let's get rid of this as an option. And then instead of having like everything hard coded in here, I'm just going to have a slot, and then we can drop in whatever we want, including the icon, and we can do that in the front end. So I think that's what we do. So now what we can do is come over here to the nav bar and make this, get rid of this. And instead of making this self-closing, nope. For whatever reason, whenever I name a component link, it doesn't allow me to do the auto close of the tag. I'm not sure why. So if it works, it works. Yeah, I know. A.text right here. And then we can add this in. See, there we go. And again, we're just doing desktop here, but that should work. Let's also do the size here, and let's just change this to small. That way we don't have quite as, yeah, I think that'll work. All right, now what I can do is do a little optional thing here, where if I have an a.dropdown, which means I probably also didn't need to pass this in. Do I have this coming in here? Get out of here. So I don't really need anything that extends now. So let's see. Let's say if there's an a.dropdown, then I can add a little SVG arrow or something. So let's see, how do I want to do this? Let's go ahead and just do icon. And already got this in here, okay? Or arrow down, something like that. Let's just do arrow, see what it pulls up. Caret. Arrow. Let's search all of them. So this is a plugin in Raycast for Iconify, and that's what Astro Icon uses. So you can just pull any of these things in. Sure, let's use this. Let's copy the name and drop this in as name equals that. Ah! Wow. Did this thing really change that dramatically? Astro Icon. Local icon sets, Iconify. Get started. Where can you pull in? Oh, you have to install them separately now? Let's see. After identifying an icon set you would like to use, you have to install it. Oh, okay. Well, that's not cool. I don't want to do that. Well, that's fine. We'll figure out another way. So let's come over here and let's come into the icons. I'll just say like caret down.svg. And then inside here, caret. Let's grab the same one. We're going to paste the SVG in here, and then we'll name this caret down. Down. What did I call that? Down. And now, what? Caret down to SVG. Caret. What am I doing wrong? Caret, right? Let's just restart this. BNP in dev. Lucid tabular, Lucid's awesome. Yep. There's also an Astro Docs Raycast extension. There is? Oh, yeah. I thought you meant Astro Icon Raycast extension. I just always forget to pull it up. Well, actually, the reason I don't do it on stream is because it opens it up in Arc, and I'm not using Arc right now. So, okay. There we go. So I think that's working now. Yeah, there's a little Astro icon. All right. Not sure why I had to restart that. Morning. See if I missed anything else. Hey, Marty. Happy birthday. I'm glad you like the Astro videos. Hey, welcome. Icons Kara, I think. Really? Well, this is working now, so. All right, so the other thing we'll do here is, since these could always include multiple things, what I'm going to do is come over here, and on the default options we have here, let's just go ahead and flex this. And then we'll do like gap of 2 or something. Items center. That's way too big. There we go. So whether or not I have 2 things in or not, it doesn't really matter. They're in little flex children container things here. All right, that's all that way. Those are all this way. So that's how I'd set up a more robust component and work with all this data coming in. So I didn't quite mean to get in all that, but to Dante's point, we do rabbit trails. So what is Astro? Astro is a web framework that is a joy to work with. But I've got a 20-minute crash course, and that'll answer it better than what I can do here briefly. Download the SVG? Yeah, we got to download it. We're good. All right, so let's actually move to another section where we can look at other data. So I'm going to move down here. We've looked at pulling in data. We've looked at passing that data to props, setting up a more robust component. I don't really care about any of this stuff. Let's see, maybe let's come... We've got kind of 2 sections here. We've got this right here, which may or may not have an Easter egg in it. And then we've got this section right here as well. So maybe let's start here. And what I'll do is we've looked at importing stuff. Man, what's up with autofocus here? Okay. Auto balance. We've looked at importing stuff from like a JSON file. Maybe now let's, or I guess it was a TypeScript file, but same thing. There's a couple other options we have here. Maybe we should set up a little server and pull these things in just to see how that works. So maybe let's do that. Yeah, you can use React actually in Astro if you want, but I won't go over kind of the basics of Astro since I was trying to move fast and keep getting distracted, but hopefully that tutorial, that quick 20-minute overview will be a help. But I don't know, I think it's, to me, it should be the default for basic sites for pretty much everything. E-commerce to certainly to blogs or landing pages or things like that. It's basically writing HTML, CSS, and JavaScript is what it feels like. Yeah, you dislike making navbars and footers, yeah. We just need an AI to do it for us, you know. All right, so let's do that section down there. We'll call this like, I just want to do these 3 things right here, so maybe let's download these first. Assets. Since this was giving us trouble before, let's go ahead and just add these as PMGs. And here we'll do assets or SRC assets. We'll call this destination icon dot PNG. And let me copy this over so I don't have to redo that each time. Grab the same thing here. Ooh, PNG. I thought I copied it. SRC assets. We're going to call this payment icon. What else do we have? This thing right here. Yep. Let's see. SRC assets. We'll call this airport or something. All right. So now that we've got all those in there, let's pull this, like use a little dev server perhaps. So let's see, how do we want to do this? Let me create a db.json file. And we're going to use something called JSON DB something server. There we go. JSON server. So like, okay, here we go. So You can create things like this and then just create a little watch command that will then spin up a dev server at whatever port you want. And so we'll use this to pull in data as if we're pulling it in from some kind of database or like hitting an API endpoint or something like that. We'll use this later for another thing if I can remember. Just trying to kind of think through different ways to pull in data in Astro, and that's kind of the point of this stream. It's not really to build out the landing page as a whole because I've done that lots of times now. So we're going to call this trip steps or something random. And then for each of these, I guess what we're going to do is, how do I want to do this? Yeah, let's just copy these things over. It's not going to let me copy the whole thing. Okay. Come on. There we go. No. Get back here. Pull this whole thing in. Okay. So, title, that's fine. We'll just add this there. We'll do description. And add that in there as well. And I guess also this. Do you use Astro for portfolio? Definitely. Random Figma design? No, it's just a random one I found on the community. Yep. Anything else I had there? I don't think so. So let's do the same thing. It'll actually create IDs for you. Like you can do like endpoints, like hit endpoints, like a post endpoint, and it'll create all this stuff for you as well. But in this case, since we're just manually doing this, I'm just going to type it out. Payment. We'll do the description. Is make payment. I'm not sure what happened there. Huh, okay, weird. So we'll say make payment. If I can type. Copy all that in. Let's copy down one more time. And again, just kind of mimicking what we might get back from an API. And then we'll fetch this in Astro and kind of work with another way to work with data. And we'll paste that in. Okay. Video reviewing Astro sites by newbies, please. I don't know if people really want me to do that, but if there's a huge outcry where everyone's dying for me to review their Astro sites, I'm happy to do that. I have done reviews of sites before, mostly on like accessibility and stuff like that, but not a bad idea. I'd have to see all the source code though, so I'd have to make it public, and I'd probably look mostly at the source code and not really at the finished product, but if they're cool with that, I'm willing to consider it. All right, so now that we got this up and running, let's go ahead and create another little section in here. And because I've already installed this globally on my machine, let's see, which I forget how they tell you to do it. Yeah, like right here. Then I can just do this, db JSON server watch db whatever, and it will spin up an actual endpoint. So localhost 3000, and I'll just go here. I think that's what it uses. And then we can interact with that in the front end. There we go. So it'll actually give me this, and then I can go to trip steps, and I get all this right here. So this will be our little endpoint that we hit. All right, so now we'll get a second way of working with data in Astro, which would be like interacting with some kind of API or database or something like that. And let's go ahead and create another section in here. I guess let's just have this be, we're just going to do this. I don't even know if we're going to do these icons. I guess I probably should, huh? Because you'd probably be getting these images from the actual server as well. So maybe let's ignore these and just forget that I just downloaded all those. So we'll call this steps or something like that. Steps.astro. Right? And then what we're going to do is just loop through a bunch of these things. So it'll probably be a UL is how I would do it. And I don't know that I would do that. I don't know. Let's not worry about it. Let's just throw a div in here. And then what I'm going to do is grab all that data there. So what I can do is I have top level await here. So I can just grab like the data or the steps or something like that. Yeah. We'll just call the steps, and then we'll just await. Fetch. And then what we're going to do is just fetch this endpoint that we have, right? So let's go ahead and console log this. And I'm going to come back over here. And then let's actually get this somewhere. So let's pull this in. as steps. All right, and then I'll come back to my steps file, and you can see I'm getting this whole console log readout from console Ninja. So you can see I'm getting this back, and it's actually giving me a status. What I get back, I actually get the body text back as well. So let's go ahead and come in here. I'll say await steps.json. This should be probably called steps. This should be called res. There we go. And now if I console log this, although I guess we could just loop through it as well, you can see I'm actually getting back the data just like I would from some kind of API endpoint. And it is an API endpoint, just a little fake one. You're down for you to review your Astro portfolio. Code is in public. Okay, cool. I'll see if maybe I'll put a post together today and see if people want me to do that. I don't know that I have a ton to say, but I'm happy to like review what people have done and say like I would do it differently, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm doing it better, but I'm happy to do that. So now what we can do is just take these steps, right, and loop over each step. And it's like JSX style if you're used to doing that. So like a friend said earlier, it's like React. The nice thing is you don't have to have like IDs and all this kind of stuff because it's not dynamic. You're just rendering static HTML at the end of the day. You can use React, of course, if you want to in Astro. We installed it. I'm not sure if we're actually going to get around to using it or not. But we'll just take each step here, and I'm going to return probably just a div for now. Yeah. This would probably be some kind of title, but in this case, we can just do s dot, and I don't have any IntelliSense here yet, so maybe what I should do is, let's go ahead and come over here. I'm gonna grab all of this and grab this, and we'll just call this something like steps. This is a nice little extension that I use in Raycast that will just define these things for you, like this. Let's see. There we go. So I can quickly grab an interface from any kind of JSON, or you could set this up as a type if you want to, which is what I usually do. But now I can actually get IntelliSense in here off of these because I've typed them here as the type of steps. So let's close this one off. And then inside here, now I can say s dot, and I get access to those, right? So title, copy this down, description, and these should be pulling in here. So there you go. Like I said, there's a small Easter egg here for anybody who cares to find it. All right, and we could style this a little bit more, but again, because we're focusing on data and that's what the point of this stream was supposed to be, maybe let's just leave it there, because what I'm saying is that you can pull in any endpoint like this. Just fetch it, top level, type it, and then loop through it however you want to. So we'll call that one good. Let's see, what else do I want to do? Let's do this one next. Now, we could do content collections for this. I don't know that I want to set this whole thing up, like make it reactive and interactive and stuff like that, but maybe we could. Yeah, so let's do this. Let's have this content collections, and then here we're going to actually use another way of working with data, or we'll set up our own dynamic endpoint, and we'll probably use React for this. So let's do that. So this will be content collections. So I got this rando here. Let's pull this in here. And we're going to go src, assets, headshot, PNG. All right, so let's set up content collections. This will be the third way we'll talk about. Let's see if it'll look at me. There we go. Destinations. Yeah, I know. I still haven't fixed that. Somebody told me, maybe it was you, comrade. Actually, I don't think you were here. Let's fix it. I did copy it from the design. Destinations. There we go. It's fixed. We're all good now. I'm feeling great. All right. Where are we at? Steps. All right. So let's go ahead and set up a third way working with data in Astro. And again, that's kind of the point of this stream. And that would be content collections. Oops. So we're going to have a content, not contents folder. Content collections is a way of having type-safe markdown or type-safe data, static data. So when you're building with local data and you want to have type safety with it and it checks it for you, it's super, super great as far as just like an API to work with. Is having content collections better for simple, informative site, or does content.js suit better? It depends what you want. Honestly, for me, content collections you set up once, it's not a big deal, especially once you set them up a lot. And like the benefit far outweighs anything. And then if it scales, you've already got, it's set up for you. So I hate when designers throw in sliders that no one uses in the end. Yeah. The amount of weird designs I've gotten that I'm like, well, this would look great in a magazine. but you know that I'm designing for the web, and I have to make like 1,000 decisions about how this looks at every little size, but that's okay. That's why I design my own crappy sites, and then I get to be angry at myself. So we're going to have a config.ts file, and this config file is going to do a few things. We're going to get define collection from Astro assets. No, content, I think. What we're going to do is define collections, which are basically groupings of similar Markdown or MDX files if it's a content type, or of YAML or JSON files if it's a data type. So we'll look at that in a second if that doesn't make sense. I think this is just export default. Let me check. I don't remember. Collections. Don't ever memorize something that you can easily copy over intentionally. And it'll eventually happen, but let's just copy all this, and that way I don't have to type all this out. All right, so what we're going to do is import these utilities that we need. We're also going to use Zod, which comes as like a way to, as your type checker, basically. Then you're going to define all your collections right here, and then you're going to export them down this way. Now, we're not going to have a blog collection. In fact, I'll just name it the same thing. So we're going to call this testimonials. Testimonials. And again, this is probably something you would not have as a default or as like a local file. This would probably be something you're pulling more from an API, but again, I'm just trying to show different ways of working with data in Astro. Then what we can do inside here is first of all set up a type. So this can be either type of data or type of content. In this case, we're going to have a little bit of content, but it's mostly going to be data. The idea of content is like a blog post or some kind of long form thing where you're rendering like multiple paragraphs or something like that. In this case, we're just going to have single paragraphs, right? So the most we're going to have is this, right? That'll be our biggest content. And then we've got images here as well. So let's see, I've got Christina Raindrop is the name of this person from EB Spain. We're going to pull this in, and then we've got this image here as well. So I've got 4 things basically, right? So now what we can do is set up a schema. This schema defines what this collection needs to look like. By setting it as a data type, I'm going to use a YAML or JSON file, and it won't have a lot of the other properties available to it or like methods available to it if you're working with data where you have to render Markdown and like render headers and headings and stuff like that. So inside here, we're going to have an object, and this Zod library is just a validator. So we're saying, hey, here's an object of everything that I need in the front matter of each of these files. And the first thing we're going to have is a name. Oops, I don't need to add Christina Raindrop at this point. I can just say z.string. And if you want, you can add things like a max length. So I can say like the longest this can be is, I don't know, like 25 characters. And if they do anything longer than that, I can say name can't be longer than 25 characters. Sure. Interesting getting feedback on Astro site. Definitely join the Discord. Hey, that's a great idea. Yeah. There's tons of people who post all the time in the showcase channel, and then people interact a ton. And that would be way better than me reviewing your site, because people in there work on Astro are the ones interacting with people. And honestly, some of the stuff in there is insane. Like, yeah, do location. I mean, I might still do one just for fun, but that's a great idea. I should have thought of that. And then we'll have like testimony or something. And this will also be a z.string. In this case, I'll probably also have a max on here of like, I don't know, 160 characters, something like that. And we'll do the same thing where we can copy this down. And we'll say testimony can't be longer than 25 characters. So you set up this little tiny schema here, and we'll also have an image, which I'll show you how to pull in a second. And then what you can do is define a collection that has the same name as whatever this is. So testimonials. So we'll do testimonials dot. In this case, I want it to be, what was it? Christina Raindrop, I think, who comes up with these names, right? Dot YAML. All right, this will be a YAML file. So we'll have a name here, Christina Raindrop, and then we'll have a location. And this will be that EB Spain, and then finally a testimony, right? That'll be all that stuff. All right, so we've got this in here. Now this config is basically going to match that perfectly. So if I were to use this in a component, so let's go ahead and create this. I'll just call this testimonial. testimonials. Sure, testimonial.astro. All right, and then what I can do is pull this in. And for now, let's just loop through this data. So let's just have, we don't even need a wrapper. We're going to pull this data in, and we'll just obviously be using that single testimony right now. So we'll say const testimonies equals await, and there's a method we have called get collection from Astro. And you can see how I get IntelliSense automatically. It knows what I have. I have this, and then it knows exactly how to define all this. Now, I might need to restart the dev server here. I killed the wrong server. And that's because when you create a content collection, it actually types it all and adds that all to like a .astro folder. And that way you get all the IntelliSense you'd expect here. And then eventually this will not be unknown. It will be whatever the type is that I defined in my config when it wants to get back up and running. It's thinking about it. All right, and then what we're going to do is take the testimonials, testimonies.map, each testimony, and then we're going to output some HTML, right? So for instance, I could have like the name, and this could be t dot. Let's wait on this as it thinks about itself. Come on. Let's see. The link to the Astro Discord, if that's what you're asking for. If you come inside here, I don't know why this thing is taking so long. Wow. Let's restart this. Let's see, it's somewhere here, right here. So just go to the Astro Docs and click on this and join the Discord, which honestly is like the best community I've ever been a part of too. So there's also that. All right, so now we should have IntelliSense. Yeah, so see how this knows exactly what's in here. And it's giving me a couple things because this is a data type. You've got an ID, which is essentially the name of the file without the extension, the collection it's in, which I already know because I typed that there, right? And then the data available to me. So now I can come in here and just simply grab t dot data dot whatever. Now, since I know I'm only going to ever want the data, I should be able to just grab this here, right? So if I wrap this like this, I think I can just destructure this immediately. And then I don't have to do data dot whatever. I can just do name data dot, yeah, data dot name like that. So if I come back over here, I actually need to pull this in somewhere, right? So let's do index, and this is what, testimonial. All right, so there we go. Christina Raindrop is pulling in there. Maybe let's do like a grid gap 12 or something big just to separate these things out. And we'll also throw this inside of a container. There we go. See, let's close that down, All right, so now we've got all this stuff type safe too as well. Now, especially if you're working with like blog articles or honestly any kind of data where you need to make sure all the stuff is validated, that it actually is the right thing you expect, it's super helpful to use these Astro content collections. Because for instance, if I came in here, remember we had some limitations on this. If I added a bunch of stuff like this, so it should be way longer than 165 characters, and I go to save it, you'll see I get this really, really helpful error message. So look at what's here. I get the exact error message I passed in here. It can't be longer than, even though I had the wrong thing, 25 characters, I think it's 165. But then on top of that, it actually points you to the right file and even highlights the actual row right here. And then I can just click here and it opens it directly in my editor. Here it's telling me it's on, line 3 as well. And now we're going to wait on my computer. There we go. So really, really helpful to work with content collections because you know all the data you're getting is actually type safe, even though you're writing in Markdown or YAML or JSON or whatever. So to me, like this is the hands down best feature of Astro. So I don't know how controversial that is, but I just think it's so helpful when you're working with data. So whether it's stuff like this or whether it's full blog posts, like you always know that what you're getting is what you're getting. So before I would have sites that I was like pulling in a bunch of tags and displaying those tags and linking to pages that showed everything with that tag. Well, the problem is if you have a tag that's spelled just slightly differently, one's capitalized and one's not, like let's say you had raindrop as a tag, one of them's capitalized, one's not. Well, now you're kind of stuck, right? Because you've got two different links, one pointing to a capitalized raindrop tag and one pointing to a non-capitalized, and how in the world are you going to catch that? And like I had so many stupid errors like that where I just mistyped something or like I misspelled an author's name somewhere. Well, you can actually define it has to be these 7 authors spelled exactly like this, and then all your data always matches and you don't ever have to wonder about it. So, all right, now with that said, let's come back over here and I want to add one more thing. So right now we've got this Z object. What I want to do is instead of just returning it. I want to actually have a function in here where we get a little helper called image, and then we return the z.object. Because now what I can do is have a headshot like this, and I can actually use that helper image that we've passed down, and it will actually verify that there's an image. So here it's saying, hey, this is required. You have to have this. So what I can do is come over here, and I guess I added this over here. Let's come over this way, and let's move it in here. The only other thing you can have inside of these folders, let's do Christina Raindrop here as well, is you can actually have images inside these folders and then relatively reference them. So you could leave this in the assets directory, but then you'd have to relatively reference it all the way up. So in this case, what I'm going to do is have a headshot like this, and then we'll have Christina raindrop.png. Sorry, this needs to be relative path. Okay, so now, and again, isn't that nice? Like I obviously made an error, but I don't care. Like it just tells me, right? And then I can come over here and we can do a few things. If we just use a normal image tag, then our src here, we'd pull in data.headshot, and then I actually have an src property on here, and notice it just drops it in here, and it's verifying this is an actual image file. Now you can do a lot more type safety with content collections or with this Zod library. So I could like refine this, and I could say it has to be like greater than, 300 pixels and less than whatever. Like, so you can actually give it a ton of super specific details of how you want this to be. I could also say that this is optional by tagging this optional tag on the end, and that tells Zod, or Zod tells Astro, hey, they don't have to have this in their content collection. So anyhow, but now I get access to this. The other thing I can do instead is use the actual image component that I get with Astro. So let's import image from Astro assets like this. And now what this will do is I'm not going to pass it the src, I'll just pass it the entire thing, but it will actually minify it for me as well. So in this case, let's go ahead and say like data.name is the alt. It requires an alt. And now it's going to minify this. If I come over here, you'll see that it's added all this stuff. And if I pull up the network tab and we look at the image, it's 2.1 kilobytes and it's a WebP now, even though it was a PNG to start with. And if I want to, I can actually pass in a custom format. So I can say like avif, and now it's whatever, 2.3 kilobytes. It looks like WebP in this case happened to be a little bit better. So there's a lot of other things you can do here with the Astro image, but just want to show you how to use that inside of content collections, because knowing how to pull in that function is a little, or that method, the image helper right here is a little funky, because you're returning now after pulling in this little helper. So anyhow, hopefully that makes sense, kind of what we're doing here. Let's pull in a couple other people. And actually, do I need to do anything else here? I mean, I think I need to not be distracted by the CSS, because I was going to like try to build out some of these components, but really I want to focus on data. So let's focus on data now that I'm like an hour and a half into the stream, finally doing what I said. But you do the same thing down here, right? And you can verify all these people. Looks like this is maybe just like a subtitle, not a location, but anyhow. All right, so we've looked at a couple ways to get data in. For the Navbar here, we looked at pulling in, I guess I should actually look at it over here. We looked at pulling in like local data files. In this case, it happened to be these nav items. So this is just a TypeScript file that we're pulling in. You could also do JSON, and it will actually type it for you as well when you pull that in. So that would work for these nav items. We've looped through these, right, down this way. We created this little component, made a little bit more robust component than I probably done on stream before and probably should have done today, but deal with it, all right? And then we looked here at pulling in from some kind of server endpoint. So we've got this db.json endpoint right here. And if I come over here, let's see, where was that? Steps, I think. We actually fetched it, and we've got top level weight in here, typed it, and then looped through our data. And finally, we set up a single content collections that happen to be a data type, which gives us basically just the metadata, and that's it. And in this case, it was just a profile, pulled in this person's stuff, actually used the image component as well. Fourth way I want to show you how to work with data in Astro. I mean, obviously you can come up here and do like const, like hi equals Chris or something. And then you can just pull this in anywhere in this bracketed syntax and do hi, and it will show you that. So I guess that's the fourth way I want to show you. The fifth way I want to show you how to work with data in Astro, though, is to actually have a dynamic API endpoint. So what we're going to do is come inside our pages directory, and let's have a like contact form. Let's just say contact dot. Let's just do .json.ts. All right, so now what we're going to do is have some dynamic endpoints here. So let me jump over here so I don't have to remember. That's not the right place. Where are we at? Not there either. Get out of here. Here we go. Endpoints. So what we're going to do is, first of all, just start with this static endpoint. And what we're doing here is creating basically like an API route, right? So we'll have a localhost 4321. And in this case, we'll just go to contact.json. And when we hit this with a GET request, we get back this right here. Now this will be statically built every time I build the site. So if I have dynamic data, so for instance, if I want to import my content collection, so I could say like testimonials equals await get collection, and I could pass it my testimonials. And then what I could do here is, instead of stringifying that, I could stringify the testimonials. And now if I hit this, I get all this. Now this is really helpful if, for instance, you are working like with React and you want to still use content collections. Well, you can use content collections, create a little endpoint, and then you could just interact with that live, you know, with your React component. Now, obviously this is static the way we're building the site right now, because we've set it up as the default, which is static rendering. But you can make this dynamic as well. And the benefit of dynamic is not only do you, every time you hit this endpoint, you get fresh like pull of all your data. But the other thing you get is you can have post and put and delete and, you know, other methods available to you as well. So that's what we're going to do here in a second. But that's all we're doing. Now, typically what I like to do is I like to put these in an API folder like this. And that way I kind of know that they're API endpoints. So let's go ahead and do that, which means I also need to have this as API contact.json, and that should still work. Now in this case, we want to actually have dynamic stuff. So beyond just GET requests, we want to actually have like a post requests as well. So we can actually post content to it. Hey, awesome. I'm glad you enjoyed the content collections. Hey, that's very kind. Yeah, content collections are awesome. And I think once you see the use case for them, like, I don't know, like why you wouldn't use them. And it gets super frustrating working with data anywhere else. Even honestly, like working with, unless it's like super well typed API responses, a lot of times that stuff isn't exactly as you expect. So full stack apps, yeah, it can for sure. And this is how you would do it. You'd create all these little API endpoints and interact with those. And then you can have React components as well, which I'll show you here in a second. But what we want to do is not just have GET requests. We want to actually have post requests and stuff like that. So let me come down this way. Here we go. And you can actually type these as well. There's a little helper you get called API route from Astro. So maybe let's just copy all this and drop it in here. Okay. And then we'll pull this in here from Astro. Now we've got all these different things, right? So if I come over here and we hit the same endpoint, I say this was a GET. If I make like a post request to this, we'll see this is a post, this is delete, this is an all, whatever method I happen to pass in here. I guess this is what we're doing. In this case, though, in order to have these other ones, I need to use some kind of adapter, some kind of SSR adapter, because I need this to be server-side rendered if I'm going to actually be posting to it and stuff like that. Because by default, Astro just builds static sites, and so if you want to have some kind of dynamic endpoint, you have to actually have an adapter. So let's go ahead and do that. Again, Astro to the rescue with his CLI. We'll do PMPX since I'm using PNPM. Astro add, let's just do node. I think that's what it is. PNPX. Astro add node. And this will add the node adapter. Obviously, if you're using Vercel or Netlify or whatever, like you'd use whatever adapter you want. And there's a lot available, not everywhere. So it kind of depends what your use case is and if your service supports it. Waiting on things to install for like the 5th time. It's thinking about it. Resolving packages. Now it's going to update, add this. Yes, please install that. So the CLI does everything for you. Now it's saying, hey, can I add this to your config? Sure, that's great. And that will work just fine. So let's get this up. Actually, let me open up the Astro. What is happening? Okay. Astro config. So right now it has this mode is standalone. In this case, what I want, and this output is server. This means the entire site will be server-side rendered. Now, the cool thing with Astro is you can use this thing called hybrid as well. Let me first explain this. With server, everything is static or server-side rendered, unless you want a particular route, and it's route-based, not component-based or anything like that, to be statically rendered. So I do like const, what is it? Const export or export const pre-render. That's it. Equals, I guess there's autocomplete for this now. So we could say pre-render true. So I want this to be statically built ahead of time. So let me show you what this will do. pm run build. So if you build this thing, it will output a dist folder. And what I've done is say, hey, I want everything. Oh, it's going to check everything. Hopefully I didn't mess up any types. Actually coding in public. Yeah, exactly. That's the point of this channel. I'm trying to learn, trying to like walk through what I'm learning at the time. So I'm definitely not an expert. Like I'm honest, I started about 3 years ago, and for me, just talking through what I'm learning, maybe I'm just way too much of a verbal processor. I guess my friends could tell you that, but it helps me to talk through this. So, all right, so it's going to build all this stuff, put it in a dist folder. Now notice, oh, this is cool. This must be new. You got client and server. Look at how nice this is. All right. But here they're actually building all this stuff. This client, it's already pre-built this entire page right here, right? If I had another route, which I don't actually have, so I should probably do that. Let's have like an about route here. And I don't have this pre-render true since I have the entire site building server-side render unless I tell it to like pre-render a page. Now if I rebuild this, and we look at this in a second, what the guy devs life does, but focus on only Astro. Whenever it's done thinking about things, it's mad at something here. Oh, it's not using that. It's okay. It'll be fine. All right, let's see if this thing is done yet. Okay, it is. So now if I come over here, we should have this one pre-built page, right? At Astro, at index, whatever. But if I come over here to the server, you're going to notice that it has an entry over here. And I don't know if I'm going to even be able to find this. But basically, here we go. So it has an actual server-side route, this function that will basically build the page dynamically as somebody shows up to the page. So in this case, if they come to the about route, it will actually build that dynamically. Same thing with this contact API endpoint. It will build this dynamically as somebody hits this. So because I'm using this server output, hopefully that makes sense. Right here, everything will be server-side rendered unless, like on my index page, I tell it, pre-render this page. In that case, it will pre-render it and put it in this index.html file, and it's just pre-rendered. It's static every single time somebody comes to this site. So that's kind of the difference with this. Now, the other thing you can do, which is how I typically do it, because most of my sites I want to be mostly static and then only server-side render individual routes, is you can use something called hybrid mode. Now, hybrid mode does the exact opposite. All right, so let's come back over here to the index right here, and we're going to set this to pre-render false now. In other words, everything will be statically generated unless I set pre-render to false, in which case now at this point, I want this to be rendered on the server. So let's rerun this and I'll show you the difference between the two. And then we'll actually get to building out this with probably a React component. All right, so still waiting. All right, so now what it's gonna do is this exact same thing. It type checked everything. I've got some hints, evidently, 78 of them. All right, there we go. So now look at this. I've got an about route, statically generated, right? Because I'm using the hybrid route. Same thing with this contact API endpoint. Now notice, all it has is a get endpoint. It just got rid of all the rest of them. But if I hit this, I will get this message back, right? Now, when it comes to the server, now look in here, under pages, I've got my indexed file right here. So it'll actually generate the index page dynamically if somebody comes to that home page. So that's the difference between the different rendering modes. There's also other ones that Astro is working on as well. So like a static, incremental static regeneration. I think I got that right. pm run dev. Let's get this thing back up and running. But all that to say, this is by route is where you define this. And I'm going to come back over here, and all I want to do is on the config right here, or this contact, this is the route I want to be pre-rendered false, because I want this to be server-side rendered. The rest of my site will be statically rendered. only this API route basically will be rendered dynamically on the server, if that makes sense. ISR, yeah, which I'm super pumped about. I just need to look into it. Okay, so that being said, we've got all this stuff in here. What I want to do is actually create in my db.json file, db.json, we're going to have like contacts or something like that. And right now this is just be empty, but this is an endpoint I can actually hit now. So if I come over here and we come to contacts, now I've got this empty array, but you know, I could have multiple contacts in here, but I can actually hit this with a post request or something like that and add data to this. So let's come back over here, close this stuff down, steps, Navbar, get out of here. All right, let's just have, do we want to like style this? No, I don't, because remember, we're trying to do a thing and not get distracted. Right, Dante? Subscribe, let's have your email, sure, and subscribe. All right, the other cool thing is this will give us a chance to look at React components as well. So let's come over here. I'll like a contact form.tsx. Scaffold this out, RFCE, okay. Now, if we're gonna pull this in, let's go ahead and come down to this index route right here. Contact, what do I call this thing? Contact something? Contact form? Nothing, okay. I think, and then this can just be contact form. And I don't need .tsx or anything like that. Come back over here, contact form. Okay, so it's being pulled in properly, that's good. All right, now, because this is a React component, and I had to install the React package earlier, I did that at the beginning of the project. So if I come over here, you can see that it's installed React along with its types and everything else. So if I come to the Astro config file, you can see that I've got, let's see, React right here. And this is one of the integrations that I'm using. So that being said, we're data people today. That's right. Where is my contact form? Okay, so let's go ahead and render out some stuff here. And I can use any like libraries I want to in React in this component, and it'll just render static HTML at the end of the day. And I'll show you how to make it more dynamic, which we'll have to do here in a second. So let's just go ahead and make this a form. And I don't remember what offers is about. Subscribe to get the latest. Yeah, I guess let's maybe make this a div. And then inside here, we'll have a paragraph that says that. And then we'll have a form. And right now this will not do anything. And then we'll have, I guess this would have been an input, I think. Type of text, that's fine. Placeholder, so we'll have that. And then we'll also have a button that says subscribe, which this already should be a type of submit if it's in a form, but let's go ahead and add it just to be clear. Okay, we got our stuff, Let's maybe wrap this in a label as well. And since we're wrapping it, we don't have to do anything there. We'll span here that says like your email or something. And I guess we can just class name SR only to not show it, but that should work. Okay, so now we've got a basic form set up. If I hit subscribe, it tries to submit it. Let's have an on submit handler then. And first of all, you're going to see this not work properly in a second, but handle submit. Const handle submit. I'll take in the actual thing and e.prevent default just to show you that this will not work. Okay, so now it should not, let me move back here. It should not actually submit this form, right? Because I have this handle submit and it should be preventing the default. But if I click here, it actually submits it. Why? Well, again, because we're using this, we're writing this in TypeScript. Hey, awesome. It's a little slow at the start, so just be prepared. I start these things at 5 a.m. my time, so it takes me to like 6 to wake up. Is that our only Tailwind thing? Yeah, it is. Okay, what was I talking about? Index. Okay, so over here, this is just rendering static HTML at the end of the day. We're using React to build out the component, but it just renders the static HTML at the end of the day. If I want it to be dynamic, I have to actually come in here and do client load or client visible or one of these different options called client idle. So just to show you kind of what's happening behind the scenes, let's open this up. If we look at the network and we look at everything, All right, we fetch this, we get 29 requests. But if I look through here, I'm not going to have anything with React. At least it's not loading React proper. However, if I come in here and do client, let's start with client load, which loads the React necessary to actually be interactive with the React component on page load, and I reload. Now, let's see, I've got 36 requests, including all the React right here, right? So it actually downloads the runtime for me. Now, what I really like to use is this client visible, which I think should be the default for you if you're working with stuff. So if I come in here, right here, you can see it's only loaded 31 requests. But as soon as that component gets into view, right here, it loads all the React I need. So it's actually using an intersection observer behind the scenes to load that smartly. So again, Astro like gives you just-in-time JavaScript rather than like everything you could ever want with JavaScript loaded onto the client, and then we'll see what we use and what we don't use, which is, you know, how a lot of things work. So thankfully, stuff's moving a little bit more server-side and just generally, and I think it's better for the clients, but the DX of Astro makes it worth it for a developer because I can write in React and then I can just load the React when I need it, and that's what we'll do. Now in this case, if I come over here and I try to submit this, get out of here, right here, you'll notice it's not, well, let me show you here. It's not actually submitting, right? Because now I'm actually using the JavaScript that's loaded with React, right? All right, so let's come back over here. And now what we're gonna do, let's go ahead and, I can't ever remember how to type this. Let's see, what am I doing? Is this right? I got distracted, sorry. No, what am I trying to do here? It should be form this right here, right? Maybe? It's got a chance? No? I don't know how to type this thing, I always forget. Throw an any on there. All right, somebody tell me. I clearly don't write in React enough, but now what we're gonna do is grab the data. So we'll do form data, and we can use the new form data, and we're gonna pass in the e.currentTarget. Like this. Choose between strict and relaxed TypeScript while creating Astro projects. Yeah, I feel the same. I'm not a TypeScript dev really. I just try to use it now because I know it'll force me to finally use it. But honestly, right now I just feel like it slows me down. But one of these days, I'm gonna be like Matt Pocock or something, you know, where it just flows out of me. So now what I'm gonna do is get the data. This will be from object.entries, right? From form data. And we'll just console log this whenever we submit the data. So like email at email.com, submit it. Oh, why is this not working? Let me pull it up here. Usually it shows me, okay. Here we go, so I get a length of nothing. Oh, it's because I have to have names on here. So names here will have email, and this should be a type of email as well. And this should be in here. Gotta be ready for anything. All right, submit. There we go. Now I should get this data. Still nothing? What? What am I doing wrong here? Let's see what this is. I should be getting the actual form. This has a name, email, which should be what I'm getting back here. What am I doing wrong? This is just JavaScript. This is not Astro at this point. Oh, at email.com. Form data. Values. Let's just see if I can. Object.entries, object.from entries. Aha. Okay. Like I said, very easy to write JavaScript. Okay, there we go. Now I'm actually getting my email back. So what we can do is now that I'm getting that, I can verify, like I could use Zod, for instance, to validate this as well. Let me copy this over. Yeah, that was working. I don't know what I did before. Thanks. Always go with strict. It might take some time to get used to. It'll speed you up in the long term. Go with Eli. Yeah. DX and autocomplete. Yeah. I think I usually do strict as well. And then I honestly almost never use any's. When I'm live streaming, occasionally I do. Otherwise, I just beat my head against the wall for 10 minutes and try to figure out what's going on. All right. So now what we're going to do is hit that API endpoint, right? So I can just, maybe we should let's install another dependency while we're at it. So we'll do pm add react hot toast. There's also Toastify, I think, is another one. pm run dev. And let's look at the hot toast. React hot toast. I got about 10 minutes left. That's what we're going to do. And then we're going to call this good because I got other things to do today. So let me drop this in here. Get rid of this. And then all I have to do is do toast dot whatever. So this should pull in toaster. Isn't there like a... I have to import this somewhere, right? Right? Don't I? I don't know. Let's come back over here. Maybe this is... Okay, yeah, here we go. Okay, so let's pull this in up top. And then what we can do is... We got this, this dynamic endpoint right here, right? So this is our dynamic endpoint. This is our actual contacts, and we're going to hook all that stuff up, and then we'll call it a day. Where am I at? Here we go. Okay, so what I want to do is hit my contact API endpoint, right? So let's open that back up, and then basically we can show toast. That's what I was going to show you. But so if I hit this with a post route, I've got this request, and I should be able to get... see, I should be able to get this email from request.body something. Is that right? Let's see what we get. So what I'm going to do is const res equals. I probably should do a try catch. And here we're going to do const res equals 08 fetch. And we're going to hit the endpoint contact.json, right? Now, in this case, we also have to pass along a couple other things, right? We've got headers and let's see, application. What am I looking for? Status. Nope. Body. What am I trying to pass along here? Method. So I don't need this at all. Let's just get rid of this. I don't know if I have to pass it along JSON. I can't remember. Or application type JSON. So this will be post. And what am I looking for here? The body here will be my data. That's what I'll pass along. Await async. Okay, so let's see what happens. We should be hitting this and hitting this email. I think I did that right. Shetsy and Toast. I know they are. I don't want to install Shetsy in. I think they just redid them too. So we'll do email at email.com and subscribe. Not found. Oh, it's because I did the wrong endpoint. Remember we had API in front of that now? API. All right, let's try again. Okay, something happened. A thing happened. And it should be server side. Email undefined. Okay, cool. Let's at least see if we can get back the body here. We'll just call it email for now. Okay, I am getting this. I'm just forgetting how to work with a request. What do I have on here? I just don't remember how this comes across. There's some things like you remember, and there's other things you don't remember. For those of just joining, we are talking about Astro. I do have a Learn Astro course out right now. This is in the kind of the early stages. It's about a third to a fourth done. So you're getting the cheapest price, but you're also kind of entrusting me to finish the thing, which with the amount of distractions that I clearly have. Oh, here we go. That's what we need. So you just copy everything, and then you don't ever have to learn anything. And then now I can just say body here, and let's make sure this is working. But if you're interested in kind of following the process and learning along with me as I kind of develop this thing and giving me feedback, this is the cheapest I will offer the course. It's at least half off of kind of the full course price, whatever that ends up being, which I've got some ideas, but I want to wait till I actually get it finalized, obviously, before I do too much. All right, so back over here, we've got email. Let's subscribe. Okay, what did I mess up again? This needs to be an async function. Now over here, but it's at least hitting it properly. Okay, so it doesn't like this. What am I messing up? Why am I not a developer? I mean, I can't read what you're saying here. For some reason, YouTube's like obscuring it with this little UI thing, so I'm not sure what you're saying. Sorry. Let's see, what did I steal over here? If this is this is the post endpoint, async request. Let's steal all this and drop this in here instead of figuring out what's going on here. All right, let's just do this. All right, and see if this works before I do too much else. Email at email.com, and let's subscribe. Aborted, bad request. What am I doing wrong here? Okay, so I have to get content type application JSON the way I've set this up. That's fine. I'll just copy this over. Probably should do that anyhow. Headers, content type. Is that right? Like that, maybe? It's like this? Yeah? Okay. Email at email.com. We're going to get this thing to work. It's going to be awesome. No. All right. So somehow this data is coming back differently than I'm expecting. So let's first of all console log this, because I think that might be our problem. Email at email.com. Okay, so I'm getting this here. This is an object. I'm passing this along. What am I doing wrong? Do you see this? It should not be this. I needed to maybe JSON. Oh, I think I need to just JSON stringify this thing. The joys of development. Data. Right, this. Hey, you're welcome. Let's come in here. I think we did all that right. Here we go. We did a basic API route. Okay, we can pack up for the day. So now what we're going to do is in our contact over here, now that we're getting this properly, now I'm going to actually post, right? So here I should probably do a try fetch, but ain't nobody got time for that. We're going to wait. Fetch contact form. Why redo everything, right? Let's just steal this and drop it in over here. And in this case, we're not going to hit this. We're going to hit whatever this API route is right here. Here, right? And we're going to post this data. And what it will do is actually create, it'll give us a response here as well. So we'll do data equals res.json. And then let's console.log this data just to kind of see what we're getting here. Okay, over here. It's going to be awesome. So we're going to do email at email.com and subscribe. Oh no, I messed up my data. Did I call this the wrong thing? Oh, I did, because this needs to be my body. Okay. Goodness. Something happened. Okay, let's check. We added something. So you see how you can have dynamic API endpoints. This is all this section was supposed to be. So now I'm actually getting something back. And if I look at the server logs here, get back, name's not defined. Oh, here we go. I get back all this stuff. So assuming I get something back positive here. Wow. Got a lot going on here. Okay, so here I'm getting back this pending promise, which means I need to await this. And then let's see what we actually get. So let's do it again, all over again. Email at something.com, submit. Name is not defined. What? Oh, it's because I'm trying to get this thing back. Email at something.com, submit. Okay, so now it actually posts to here, right? And it adds the ID for me and everything automatically. Let's see what we got back here. So it actually sends back whatever it posted. So it includes the ID at this point. So now what I can do is, this is our API endpoint, right? So we've gotten this back, and I know that data exists. So if data, whoa, not sure what happened there. If data exists, then I'm going to return this, right? And in this case, I'll just stringify the data I got back. Otherwise, I'll throw a new error. We need like a, yeah, I'll just say like problem. Okay, problem. So if for some reason there's an error, that will happen. Now on the front end here in React, I'm going to get back something, right? So let's just console.log the res. And now let's tie this whole thing together. So if I come back in here, submit this, I actually get back this response, right? And it includes like, okay, true, all this kind of stuff, right? So I should probably do like if res.okay. If that's false, then throw new error just to catch anything. Error. All right. Otherwise, I can go ahead and grab the data and do stuff with it. Now, in this case, because I'm using React.toast, what we're going to do is pass this along to a promise, toast.promise. And this will be the promise we send it, right? And then, let's see, we've got like success or something. How do I do this? React.toast. Aha. Official documentation. Toast. I want a promise. Aha. That's what I'm doing, right? My promise. I don't think I have to wait this, right? I think I just hit it like that. Is that all right? This. And like that, maybe. Success. All right, let's just back out of this whole thing. Okay, so we got this, right? This promise should be this fetch right here. And then right here, we're going to do this, all right? All right, I think I did all that correctly. Now, come back over this way. We've got a static site, right? Everything's static. The whole thing's static. But I've got this little React component that's this island of interactivity. And we'll do email at email.com. Subscribe. Res isn't defined. Oh, come on. It's because I extracted this. Just get out of here. I just want something to go right the first time today. Oh, at email.com. Submit. Got the data. Okay, that's all we're looking for. Now in this case, because I know I'm going to get back data here, maybe I'd want to return it and say like, I don't know, like, thanks for posting. We got your email, whatever. But now I know that I'm getting something correct over here. If for some reason I messed this up, so let's say I came over here and instead of having contacts, I did something else weird. Then if I come back over here, this promise should fail, right? And it doesn't. Perfect. So this is all happening exactly as we want, because this should fail. So let's see what data we're getting back here. All right, now we're just doing stuff. Email at email.com. So if it doesn't fail, then I must be not accounting for this data. Okay, so data is empty. So maybe what I need to know is if the data.id. So let's see if data. Yeah, we'll just do it if data.id. Now, this is definitely going to work. I'm so confident. Look at that. There's a prob, Bob. See? That's all we're going for. We just want a little error to happen. All right. I probably should handle that differently so I'm not just throwing this error and then like crashing the whole thing. So anyhow, you get the point. You can interact with dynamic API endpoints. And we did this all with that server-side rendering. So... All right, anyhow, I hope that was helpful. Valid email checker, you forgot, yeah. You would want to set this up with some kind of email checker or something. All right, well, hopefully that was helpful. We worked with data in Astro a bunch of different ways. Did we get distracted? Yes, Dante. Yes, we did. This is what live streams are all about. So if you don't like it, I'm sorry. But hopefully this was helpful. We worked with Astro in a bunch of different ways. I will remind you that I've got a Easter eggs in this project. If you are just joining. And let me come over here and we'll just talk through briefly what we did. So first of all, we looked at this base layout. We added this Navbar where we imported local data. That was our first way of working with data in Astro. And we outputted that down here, right? Just like this. And we have type safety and all this kind of stuff. We even created a really robust link component for no particular reason. Not part of the stream today. Just block that like 45 minutes out of your head. Next thing we did is we created these steps where we grabbed this data from a fake API endpoint and then outputted it down here. And you've got top level weight here in Astro. Next thing we did is this testimonials where we had content collections. We set up all these content collections and got type safety over this way with data that we can then output on the page with confidence. And the final thing we did was whatever this monstrosity was, where we created a React component, right? We have an endpoint that we're hitting and we created a contact. Good, Dante. Distractions are why you're here. I like that. We created this dynamic API endpoint where we can do a GET request or a POST request or whatever and actually hit a route and then from there like interact with the server. And all this is server side. This whole thing, this contact.json.ts is all server side. And then we interacted with it from our React component that we loaded the React on the page when we needed to, hit that API endpoint and posted stuff, right? And that's why we have all these email addresses that are definitely real. So anyhow, hopefully that was enjoyable for you working through all those different ways of working with data in Astro. And we use this project kind of sort of loosely. I don't even know if I should have posted an actual image of it since we weren't really ever going to do much with it. But yeah, hopefully that was enjoyable for you. But I have other things I need to get to. So I will run for the day. If you're interested in learning more about Astro, we do a lot of this kind of stuff in my Learn Astro course that I've already mentioned a couple times. And since I'm really bad at plugging this, I'm really trying right now. So there you go. Hopefully you enjoy that, and you can check this out if you're interested. There is a coupon code in that was my Easter egg. Well, one of my Easter eggs, the public Easter egg. So anyhow, I will catch you next time. Thanks for watching. May your coding be happy. May your day be great.